it.
Corrupt We Can Freak It, My Freak 3. Now
Not,
playing on Apple
not
Music.
you. Wrong person. Hey, Google, play Corrupt We Can Freak It. Too many people around here, man. You know what I'm saying? Too many people around here.
We Can Freak It by Corrupt.
By Corrupt.
It's on Spotify.
Little West Coast life. You know what I'm saying? You did it the same way. There we go. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? You know what I say? I say, what's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Please step right in. Step right in. Have a seat. Get ready for the show. Please have a seat and get ready for the show. All right, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Welcome back, y'all. It is your man, Cashmere, California. This is the Pod is Good podcast, episode 16. Man, I need to get some sound effects in this so I can 16 something. Some kind of celebration for 16. 16. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm happy to have y'all here. I appreciate you. Please step on in. The train is leaving soon. We are going on a ride tonight, as always. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here, tuning in, whether you're tuning in live, whether you're tuning in the future, looking back retroactively at what were people talking about back then. What was going on in 2023 that's so interesting that I should care? What was it? Let me make sure my mic is good. I don't feel like my mic is. Can y'all hear me okay out there? Am I all right? Anybody that's watching, please jump in the chat. Let me know. Is my volume good? What's going on, What's going on, Keegan Midas? The way of the Shaolin. How you doing, sir? How you doing? Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Can you hear me okay? Let me know if everybody can hear me okay. I just want to make sure my guest tonight is on his way. It's on his way. Another incredible show that I know you all are going to enjoy. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Man, how do we settle into this? How do we get in the groove? So, first off, my next guest I met here in Los Angeles. I've lived in Los Angeles for quite some years now. And one thing I will say about LA, I've met some very talented people, but not always great individuals, if that makes sense. Like, talent is one thing. Like, you can exist in your talent and be well versed in it. You could be well studied in it. You could be well rehearsed in it. But then once your talent is not necessary and people are dealing with the individual, then you trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, no better way to put it. You just trash. You realize maybe that's why you're so good at your craft, because ain't nobody really want to kick it with you like that. You didn't really have no girls around you. Guys always felt you was fake. So your circle was small, which left you a lot of time to focus and honing your craft. Rarely do you find somebody that is incredibly honed in on their craft and they're also a very incredible individual and a human being. And that's what this guy is. He has definitely made it into my small circle of individuals that I feel like I can trust, not only on a professional level, but a personal level. I know his family, he knows mine. We've been to celebrate birthdays with one another. So I call him my friend, though I met him in a professional music setting. So I won't go any further. We'll get into his story and our story and all of that as we, when he gets into the studio. So I do want to ask everybody, anybody listening, hopefully this hasn't happened yet, but if you're listening to this now or anytime in the next 72 hours, there is a mega fight coming, y'all. And my boxing fans know exactly what I'm talking about. There is a mega fight, the biggest boxing match since Mayweather and that little Filipino boy. Since him. Well, maybe Mayweather and that Irish boy. Maybe. Let's just say it this way: the biggest fight that ain't got Mayweather in it. How about that? The biggest fight in a long time without Floyd Mayweather is coming to Las Vegas, Nevada. I believe. Hold on, they Las Vegas or Texas? You know what? They might have went to Texas because he was talking about wanting to do this for Dallas. You know what? Let me look into that. So don't quote me on the last part. Quote me on the fact that there is a fight. Don't quote me on the whereabouts of that exact event. My man, Errol Spence Jr., is about to share the dance with Terrence Crawford. Big Fish versus Bud. Who do y'all got? Who do y'all got? What are we? Come on. This is that kind of fight. No disrespect. Let me not disrespect Pacquiao like that. Or McGregor like that. I'm messing around. No disrespect. Don't come after me. This is the kind of fight that when people talked about Pacquiao, Mayweather, it needs to happen now. It needs to happen now. Don't wait so long. Floyd picks his fights. You know, all of that. Floyd haters. I'm not a Floyd hater. I think Floyd is a GOAT, right? And when I say GOAT, I don't mean he's literally the best, because I may have to give it to Sugar Ray. Not Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard. Though Sugar Ray Robinson was a beast as well. But there are some other fighters that I personally would put at the top of my list. But I give him the GOAT status because he's undefeated. And it ain't like he's fighting bums. I mean, people know boxing. Boxing, you can make it up to like 17-0, 14-0, like fighting bums. Like that's just kind of how boxing goes, right? But once you start breaking like into the 30s undefeated, now we're talking some 40s. Whoa, you setting yourself apart. My man Mayweather that made it into the 50s, and y'all still don't want to give him his credit. I don't understand. The man has, what else can he do? Maybe that's why he quit. Because he's like, bro, what else can I do? What else can I do? All right, so let me pull up while I'm waiting. There my guy go. While I'm waiting on him, actually before he jumps in, I want to say, I want to see if I can pull up Tell of the Tape just so we can compare the two. This is for any boxing fans that are out there that are looking forward to the massive spectacle of an event that's about to happen this Saturday. That you heard me right. This Saturday. If you've been living under a rock or you just don't care about boxing, this is one of the biggest anticipated fights of all time. And I was gonna pull up Tell of the Tape, but I don't want to have my guests waiting. You know, I don't do that. You know, we respect our guest times here. Here at the Pod is Good podcast, and so I gave a brief introduction to my guy earlier. Just to reiterate for anyone that's just joining in, I met this guy in Los Angeles. He is a consummate professional. He's a music genius. He's an entrepreneur. And he's one of the few people that I met that not only is incredibly honed in on his skill set and his craft, but also just a down-to-earth, genuine person. And I'm pretty sure he'll echo that sentiment as far as the people that he meets. It's hard to meet people in the Los Angeles, Hollywood, dream-seeking energy of a city and also connect with like just really good, wholesome people. That's difficult. Doesn't happen all the time. It really doesn't. You're blessed if you find a couple. And here's one that I found. My guy making his way to the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my friend 7A Bailey.
Yo, what's up? Pod is good.
What's all the time?
All the time.
Pod is good.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on with you, my guy?
Man, everything's good, man. You looking great, man. How's everything?
Man, I'm trying, bro. I'm trying to keep up with people like you. That's all.
Man, you got some hair,
You
so
know.
I got to keep up with you. What you doing?
I'm actually about to shut it down, man. My son came to me and was like, "Dad, let's grow our hair."
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, "All right, okay, I'll grow with you." So we start growing our hair, right?
Yeah.
Hair's growing, getting longer. I'm like, "All right, what we doing?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "All right, well, tell me something."
Yeah.
Talk to me. Tell me something. And then I come home one day and my wife has twisted his hair up. So now he looking clean. And I'm just out here. I'm like, so we just, this is what we doing.
Yeah.
Dad's alone now. So,
Dad looking like a struggle bun.
So now I got to figure my life out.
You got
but
it.
But you know, he clean though. So you know, it's all good.
For
It's all
sure.
good. How's fam, man?
Man, everybody's good. You know, my daughter, shout out to Hannah Bailey. She's killing it right now at SF State, doing her thing.
Oh, nice.
Really enjoying school. She's going to do sports medicine, and she's doing kinesiology with a minor in Eastern medicine. And then also she's going to get her doctorate shortly thereafter in physical therapy. So, man,
salute.
Yeah,
salute. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congrats to you too,
man. Thanks. And then
you know what I'm saying that's an extension of Pops. That's an extension of Pops too.
Yeah. And then Jacob's doing well. He's 12, about to be 13 in September. Killing it in soccer. Really looking forward to what he's doing. Man, he's just a great kid. He's growing up, man.
Yeah, man.
And
I think last time I saw him was on it was either his 8th or 9th birthday. I feel like.
Yeah.
Something right around there.
Yeah. How's JR doing? I know he big in the mud.
Dude, it's crazy. Like he looks like the last time I saw Jay.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they in the same space now.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? And the girls, they good.
Yeah,
you know, my oldest, she's
Ezra, right?
She's Ezra seems like she a teenager already. I'm like, slow down.
How old is she?
She's 9. She'll be 10 in September.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah. She on the heels.
That's good. Yeah.
Trying to catch up.
Giving her mama all the problems.
all of them. They just pass it on to me.
Right.
So I see 7 Bay.
Yeah.
And I know we had a conversation about this a while back, and we're gonna get into that.
Okay.
We're gonna get in that because I know you're further along in that journey.
Yeah.
And so
talk about it.
You know, I probably still got the same exact questions I had last time.
That's all good.
But I do want to bring people into who 7 is because I feel like when we got together, we just immediately clicked on music and boom, we were off to the races.
Yep.
But I never sat down to really like get your story. How did you get to where you're at? Where did you come from? Who inspired you? Like, tell me. Let's kind of walk through 7's story a little bit.
So yeah, for me, born in Compton, raised on the East Coast. Yeah. Raised on the East Coast. Spending a lot of time on the East Coast, Brooklyn. So I went from ghetto to hood.
BK.
Yeah. And then from hood to ghetto.
Right.
So yeah. It was good. Very grounding. Through my experiences, you know, got a chance to live the bi-coastal life, got to travel, was a professional soccer player, professional drummer. So being able to tour and see the world was something, you know, it's what they call black kids, you know, we don't get to see that, you know. So having that experience was really big in helping me to to round out who I was. I did a lot of production starting off growing up. You know, I was working with the Murder Inc. camp, Talib Kweli and Yasin Bey. And you know, just growing
Yeah.
up and maturing, loving music, trying to find my way in there. I was rapping too.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
All
Don't
right, so
ask me
hold
for
on. I know
that.
we got a lot of music talk, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I definitely want to hear some raps before the end of this. But
Nah,
I wa-
we're not doing that.
I didn't know about soccer, which I guess makes sense because your son plays soccer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So hold on. So this must
Mhm.
have been tell me your soccer history.
So I started at 7,
Okay.
and you know we be killing. Like that's why they try to keep us out of every sport. You know they try to keep us out
Facts.
of golf. Tiger
Facts.
Woods try to keep us out of hockey. I can't name the dude, but you know we killing in hockey
Yeah.
too. We
Yeah.
actually, fun fact, we actually created hockey. Fun fact.
Word?
That's not a white person sport. It was actually, I can't think of the Indian name of it, but it started in Canada, and it was us that started hockey first, and then it started in the
Hold
field
on.
and all that.
What is this? What is this accent I'm hearing? Hockey. What is that? What's
Yeah,
hockey?
that's what
I'm
it's
hearing
called.
this. You're
Yeah.
not saying hockey. You're saying hockey. I'm like,
Yeah. Sometimes sometimes New York come out and yeah,
little Brooklyn borough.
yeah, yeah. But
Is it James Creighton?
oh, you talking about the professional player now?
No, it says the development of the modern version of organized hockey, ice hockey, played as a team sport, is often credited to
Oh,
James Creighton.
I don't know who James Creighton is, but the original hockey was played in the field before it went to ice.
Hmm.
And it was originated by a Moorish Indian group it was in between. I think it was in Canada. I have to look it up and find it for you specifically. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's where hockey started. So again, what I'm getting at, even with golf, all the things, basketball, all of the things they've always tried to keep us out of
Right.
because of how well we play. But I got in soccer at 7, and I was terrorizing them little white kids, pink people. I was terrorizing them before I was 10, and I was on club. Then they moved me to club, and that was
Hmm.
it. From club, it was protein to protein to protein to protein.
Wow.
Played overseas, played in the UK, played in Spain, played in Brazil, played in Germany, Mexico, Italy. Yeah, and then I played here.
Jeez. You were dominant.
Yeah. So I
You
still
were,
play now a little bit. Play with like ex pros and college
yeah.
players and stuff like that. So
All right. So you hit it on the head by saying that they don't try to let us in to some of these sports. So I'm assuming
mhm.
performing at a high level, like it sounds like you were, you experienced some level of racism, some pushback,
Oh
some
yeah, yeah.
something. So give us some stories. Tell me a
Um,
couple.
the funny thing is that I was always asked, gosh, every time I was on the field, it was like, so, what part of Africa are you from? And I'd be like, what you mean, what part of Africa I'm from? Well, you playing soccer. Black people don't play soccer. And I was just like, uh, okay.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was always the only melanated child on the team. Always. I mean, we had
That's
there was Mexicans on the team, but I was always the only darkest melanated person on the team. Like all my teams, all my pictures. I mean, except for we move up into the pros, but like all my team photos, it's just like pink people, brown people, and then me. That's it. That's it. Like,
And that's just what
man,
it was. But to you,
that's just what it
during that
was.
time, I mean, I know when you got older, it felt away. Maybe looking back at it, but during that time, did it just feel like it just is what it is, or did you feel awkward or out of place?
I'll put you like this. It wasn't until I got overseas that I realized we are only we're really only niggas in the United States.
Mm.
Like everywhere else, we are people of affluence, we're people of interest, we're people of accountability. And I'm not saying we're not that here. I'm just
Just not
saying
perceived as that.
we're not perceived as that.
Yeah.
And so it's so bad. It was so bad overseas of the perception of what they called the black man, the black people in the United States. That's the reason why, in my opinion, that's the reason why during that time there was so much contrast and pushback as to what the difference was between an African from Kenya and an African American from the United States. I know African American. I'm an African from Kenya, or I'm from
Right.
I'm from South Africa, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember this. One of my good friends, she's South African. She was like, "Yeah, I'm actually more African than you are," and I was like, "You're absolutely right." She's from South Africa.
Right.
I'm from America. I'm not African at all. So
But it's
it
like, what
was
is that though? Like, what does that even mean? I'm more African than you. Like, I've never heard somebody use something like I'm more Californian than you. I'm
well,
more Canadian than you.
yeah. Well, a lot of it has to do with the misnomer and the misdirection of classification,
Mm-hmm.
classification. So I always tell my students, because I teach as well, I always tell my students, I was like, I'm pro whatever you want to be. You like it, I love it. It don't bother me at all. But I
Whatever.
always whatever you want to, you want to be a they, a them, a he or she, whatever it is you want to be. That's your choice. That's not my problem or my concern. I'm gonna support you in the ways that I can to be, to be loving, love, and love has no color. It has no specificity. Specificity. How do you say it?
Specificity.
Yeah,
I
specificity.
be struggling with that one too.
Yeah,
Specificity. I've been working on
yeah.
that.
We're working on that, man.
I've been
Yeah, but
playing in my headphones when I go to sleep, just like
right, right. So again, it's like I tell my students all the time. I was like, listen, here's the one thing we can always agree on. I said, so you can choose to be gay, lesbian, them, they, queer, whatever. So the one thing that is never ever going to change is the color of my skin. Now I could walk in here and, hey y'all, how y'all doing? My name is Kwan. Right? I can do all of that, and you can get the full idea of me being gay. But the first thing that you see, if I don't walk in any kind of way, is my skin color. And I said, at any point, a man will be a man and straighten up when he has to. If there's
mm,
something that is threatening his life,
mm.
there will be a point where in their mind they will say, I really need to think about this. And
Yeah.
I have to. So at the point of where we're at right now, I think it's tough because agenda of the pushed agenda the has really smothered our quest for reparations, if you will, which is a
Mm.
whole nother conversation. It's
True,
just,
true.
you know, um, but again, it just gets into one thing that can never change is my skin. My skin can never change. If I get a scratch on my eyebrow, it'd be pink but in a few days, it's gonna be brown again.
That's what it
Can't
is.
can't change it. It is what it is.
It is.
So there are certain things you can choose, and there's certain things you don't get to choose. And the way I get here with my skin complexion is the way I get here with my skin complexion, and that was the choice that was made between my parents, which wasn't given to them, which was made by their parents. And then on top of that, I'm not born heterosexual, homosexual. I'm not born nothing. I'm born. I'm a blank slate with a soul. That's it. And I have certain things that are hereditary that I learn about, and if not taken into account or helped with in growth, they can become problems or issues or concerns or what have you. But all of that is learned behavior. It's experience. It's all a learned behavior. It's an experience, and how we live our lives. We're here to remember. We're here to remember. We're on a journey to remember, and so everybody's choosing what they want to remember. Everybody's choosing what flavor of the week it is and everything like that. But there are a few things that you can't change, and there's a few things that no matter how hard you want to get away from it, there are certain things that just can't be changed. And I think that is one of the biggest agendas, is confusion right now, just all throughout, our daily lives, into music, into jobs, into pay, into the home life. It's a whole big confusion now. I'm walking around with a beard. Don't call me him, call me her. Okay.
Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all can hear. This is why this is my guy, and while we have some of the best conversations. I asked him about racism and soccer when he was playing overseas, and we are now into the agenda of confusion. I love it. Let's go. So
yeah. But I
so
mean,
you said something. Hold on. You said something that was very interesting that I don't think I've ever heard anybody approach this whole gender conversation from that angle.
yeah.
The conversation is always, were you born like this, or is this a choice? But you said basically nobody's born like anything.
No.
You're born as a soul. You don't have a heterosexual, a homosexual, a queer. There's no guiding, driving force to your gender or sexuality or whatever the proper terms are. You are a flesh and bones, life breathed into you by God, and a soul. And then from there, your experiences shape your direction.
Absolutely. That I have seen personally. I've watched and experienced personally. Like, I've seen it from my cousins or my friends, or like, I have gay friends, I have lesbian friends, I have transgender friends. Like, I can name them, give you phone numbers. Like, this ain't no game. Like, these are real people to me. And it ain't no I don't hate on them. I don't talk bad about them. We actually sit and have conversations and real talk. And the one thing that I always say is, I feel for you. I think it's, nobody wants to choose to be gay and black. Let that sink in. Nobody wants to choose to be gay and black, or gay and lesbian, or lesbian and black. Like, sorry, gay and lesbian. Woo!
Hey, it's coming.
Right,
it's coming.
It's coming soon. Coming soon
it's to a theater near you.
It's coming near you, right? But I mean, think about it as a chosen people who's been lost for so long and still trying to figure it out.
We're going there.
It's to then choose to be, or accept to be, lesbian or queer, whatever it is that you choose. It's already hard enough. That's why I always tell my students, like, make good choices, treat people right, and what I have experienced, looping it all back together, what I've experienced as an athlete is you're only as good as they need you. You're only as good as they need you. What I mean is you don't, like, LeBron James don't walk around with a color until he's no longer needed. Then he's black, right? Right now his color is green. Right now his color is money. His color is, because in any situation, money is going to answer, money's going to answer that call. So, if it's an issue, I don't like black people type of thing, soon as he offer you a certain amount of money that you ain't used to, you like, I don't even see color. Come on in. Crazy Rich Asians is a, and the reason why I say that is just there's a movie called Crazy Rich Asians, and at the very beginning they walk in, I don't know exactly what type of Asian they are, but they walk into this white only place, and the guy who's the manager is like, hey, we don't serve your kind, we don't have no rooms here for you guys. Well, we have reservation. Well, that's before we knew it was you. This is what they're telling them. She calls her husband, who is a multi-billionaire. The husband calls whoever owns the building, buys the building from them, and then the former owner calls them and says, hey, you need to let them in. And he's apologizing and like, oh my gosh, I didn't know who you were. It's like, but you saw my skin first. They saw her skin first. So a lot of it is, as an athlete, we were given certain privileges, certain passes. It's a little bit of an issue for some of us that come straight from the hood, from the ghetto with no money. I came from a middle-class family, lower end middle-class family. But just what I mean by that is we wasn't on the county, which nothing wrong with that. We weren't on the county. At the same time, we wasn't rolling at all either.
Right.
We was just right above. Like, we was just sitting right on top. Like,
right there.
My dad made a little bit too much money to get the WIC. Or get the SNAP card, or at that time the food stamps. So so what I'm getting at is I never really had that experience of being wealthy as a child, but I knew how money worked. I understood how money worked because my parents were very instrumental in that space. A lot of us don't get that opportunity, and as athletes, we immediately jump into $1 million coming from $0, and then you have a bunch of people around you that are used to $0 or negative dollars. And so through that experience, we're being given so many opportunities and passes and excuses and stuff like that to kind of just be an athlete, and some people don't handle it right. Some people don't handle it the right way at all. And then growing up and becoming an athlete, we dealt with, for me, it was always, I was African until they found out I was from, the US. And then it was, oh, he's American, he doesn't really understand. Because again, a lot of our outside perception of us is that, for a long time, we were the smaller country holding the biggest stick. Like, make no mistake, United States is not that big compared to a lot of these other countries, but at the same time, we've profited so much off of free labor. We're talking about 200 years, 200 and something years of free labor.
This is true. Okay, hold on. So I got to slow walk this because you handed out a lot of information that I didn't know. So you grow up, right there above the threshold, right? Your family is like, it's like the froth on top of the espresso,
right?
Like
right.
just sitting right there. you go to the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a big contract to go to the pros?
Yeah. Got paid well. Got paid
So
well.
so now when you come back home to hold on, first off, do you come back home to Compton or you come back home to Brooklyn?
I came back to Compton.
You came back to Compton. Okay. You
Yeah.
come back to
Yeah.
Compton and now you a little different now. I mean,
Yeah.
bank account wise, experience
Yeah.
wise,
Yeah.
exposure wise, right?
Yeah.
How does that affect you when you start going back to your day ones, people that you knew? What are those relationships feel from that?
Well, here's the thing. I've always been a giver. That's just always been me. I'm a Capricorn. I've always been a giver. So that's never been an issue with sharing, even from when I was away, inviting relatives or cousins or whatever to come and just hang out. Ain't never been outside the country. Most of them didn't come because they didn't have no passport.
Right.
So I mean, coming back, it wasn't like I was filthy rich, but I was making good money. And I think what it was is I was always willing to share. Whatever I had, I was sharing.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that my family knew, for the most part, they knew that I wasn't gonna be gullible. Like, I'll help you out, but I wasn't gonna just give it to you and that's it. So it's like, well, what do you want to do? What is it? How can I help you do something? What is it that you want to do? I'm working on my mixtape. Okay, cool. Who's doing the beats, or do you have this or do you have that? And I would try to help them organize whatever it is, and then put, money into it and say, okay, I can do this or I can do that. And then some people, and I'm still this way. I only give away what I'm willing to never get back. So if you ask me for $500 and I got it, I'll give it to you. I'm not expecting to ever get it back because that's just not the way things work. Like, even what I'm gonna pay you back, it's cool, but that's just not the way things work. You never give anything that you're not willing, that you're
To never
always
get
looking
back.
for. Yeah, to never get back. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it was a difference. It was an adjustment, but a lot of my family, you know, we're okay. Like, they would call and they would ask and they'd come over, they hang out and stuff. And but they were always respectful. Like, my family's always been very respectful in that space. Like, it never was, hands out. It was always just like, hey, cuz, what can I do? How can I be down? Can you help me with, I'm trying to do this? And I would try to help them out in that space. So that's kind of more of what
I
it
can
was for
respect
me.
that.
Yeah.
So what would you say, if you don't mind sharing? What was the largest amount of money that you, I'm not going to say gave, that you invested into someone, and what was it for, and why were you willing to invest that amount?
Man. So I'll tell you about the time I got burned. I'll put it to you like this. I've given away, and I mean this, and I don't really talk about this. Like, this is the most talking you'll ever, get out of me. Because again, I'm not, and those of y'all that are watching be like, whatever. But honestly, like, I'm
Oh no,
not
I
that
know him.
type.
He's not lying. I know
I'm
him.
not this dude. Like, I'm not that dude. Um, I've been very blessed and very fortunate, very favored in my life. I've probably given away about $1 million. Like, and that's like from, something here, something there. Let me do this, let me do that. Like,
Right.
I've probably given away about $1 million. Or I would say, if it wasn't $1 million in cash, it was definitely not, it was definitely $1 million in value. Like, for sure.
Right.
That
So,
I knew.
some
That
time
I do
here,
know.
some money here, some connections
Yeah.
there, some
Yeah,
effort.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All that.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
that.
And I mean, like, not on some like counting it, but like on some
Right.
real real connections. Like, you actually got bread out of this, or I actually gave you bread out of this, or you got an opportunity out of this that was direct. Nothing like, oh, I'm gonna hook you up with somebody else that's gonna hook you up with somebody else that's gonna hook you up with somebody else.
Right,
So
right.
it was just
Okay.
always it was always just it's always been that when I had an opportunity to give, I did, and I've been taken advantage of, and at the same time I wasn't paying attention. Like I was saving, like I got stuff to show for it. At the same time, I wasn't I wasn't being a great steward or a good steward of what I've been blessed with. So I've
Exactly
been a
right. I was
lot
thinking that.
better. Yeah, I've been a lot better with that. As of now, a way lot better with that now. When you kind of start, I had only had my daughter. Money was coming in. I
Yeah.
wasn't really tripping.
Right, right. Of
And
course.
as you get older, you realize, like, man, if I had done this and I would have done that, it wouldn't have mattered. You
Right,
know that I clucked
right.
off that money. I still had this and I still had that, which I didn't do bad. I don't have any regrets. Like,
And that's good. I
um,
mean, everybody, I guess, has a time that they spent money on something or gave money to somebody and they didn't really get everything that they wanted back from it. Because sometimes you don't want the money, you just want to see that person actually do that thing. Sometimes
yeah,
that person is
yeah,
close to you, and it's like even if they fail, you're like, but just I see the light
the
in your eyes,
opportunity.
like at
Yeah,
least go for it. So,
yeah, yeah.
so was there ever a time? Because was there ever a time that you felt like, man, I'm not, I don't regret investing in that person,
Hmm.
but the outcome of it had you like, that
Well,
didn't help you at all.
no, that was great. That's a great question. In all honesty, this is what I've learned in my investments. There's very few people who are really ready for what they're asking for. Very
Mm,
few. Very few people are really ready for what they're asking for. Bruno Mars is a great writer. He's a great artist now. Bruno Mars, he messed up his first round. Like
he did.
he messed up his first round, and he was very blessed and fortunate to get in a second time.
A
And
lot of
he's
people
done
don't know
such
that.
a lot of people don't know that, but he's done a great job in his second round, which I commend him for. But I think where the real story comes in is that first opportunity that he wasn't ready for. And a lot of people, you know, don't get second chances and don't make the most out of their second chances. So I think for me, I've helped so many artists financially.
Are you saying you put on Bruno Mars? Is that what,
No, no,
is
no,
that
no. I ain't saying that.
was
I
that the
don't put none on
segue?
his.
Like, man, he
Nah,
ain't do nothing with that money.
nah, nah. But I mean, there's a couple artists that I've put time in, and I don't think they was ready. Like, you know, there's a Latin artist that I worked with. Regional Mexican music.
Oh,
Look at
I
me,
remember that. I remember that.
regional Mexican music, banda, norteño. Like, I don't
Yeah,
do that stuff. Like, that's not my
yeah.
regular. And but I know the business, and you know, the artist was a great artist, just needed an opportunity, but he wasn't ready. He was
Mm,
not ready. He was not ready, and the proof is in he's still working to get in, and it's like, bruh, this should have already been in happen. You had every opportunity. We put you in every place that we could. More money is not the answer. Is are you ready? Is
yeah.
the for the opportunity that presents itself. And a lot of artists, I just use that as an example. There's a lot of artists that and a lot of people that I've helped that just wasn't ready. They had a good idea, but weren't really ready. Even me, when I got money and I had ideas, um, I wasn't necessarily ready for those opportunities. And um, the one thing I can say now is how you get ready is how you practice and how you prepare, how you write, how you meditate, the hours you
Mm.
spend working on your craft. Like those are all things that get you ready so that when you know that opportunity presents itself, you don't miss those shots. You don't miss those opportunities. I could tell you right now, some of the stuff I've been working on, you know, is only because of shooting the shots and practicing, and failing. Like I failed miserably from marriage to school to sports to everything, and
Yeah,
getting it all, having the opportunity to come back from all of that is like, God is great. um
yeah,
Allah is merciful, however you want to put it.
yeah.
it, it's a blessing to be able to be here and to have this opportunity. So yeah.
Now, do you? Because I was just talking to one of my guys from from St. Louis. He lives in Chicago
Hmm.
now, and
Yeah.
we were talking about how we're both from Missouri. And I was
Yeah.
telling him I've always felt like an issue that plagued me
Hmm.
on becoming an artist is like when you come from a small town, you are raised with certain um, morals of like, humility and, not bragging about yourself,
Yeah.
being, you know what I mean? Like kind of almost tempered down a little bit. Like, so
Yeah.
even when you feel like you the dopest in the room, it's hard for you to come across like that, which a lot of times Hollywood, when they're looking for money to spend, they're looking for that person that has that electric, like, I'm it. Like, don't look at
Yeah.
anybody else. The buck stops here. And
Yeah.
he was saying the same thing, like, man, there's been plenty of times when I walked away, like, I wish I could have not sounded like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? I do my thing. I'm out there. Instead of sounding like
Yeah.
that, I wish I could have sounded more affirming to someone
Yeah.
listening. Have
Yeah.
you run into that with certain artists where you're like, yo, I see it in you, but there's that thing that you just can't break through that glass.
Um. Yeah. Man. So a lot of that. Yes, I've dealt with that quite a bit. And it's a fine line because you think about P Diddy. Um. P Diddy is on the other spectrum. He's loud and gonna let you know, you
Right.
know. And then at the same time, you have somebody like Dame Dash, who is just as loud as P Diddy. At the same time, he's basically coming off of, he has a clear direction, where P Diddy is playing the game. He's being loud. He's playing the game. He's doing what he got to do to stay in. You got Dame Dash, who's like calling them out. Like he's telling the truth. He's hitting them over the head. He's not taking no prisoners. But they
Yeah, yeah.
both equally loud. They both equally going at it. And um I just think it's important how you do it. And then you got people like Jay Z, he's smooth with it. Like he drop bars, he lets you know, and every now and then he'll say something that like really gives you that's over your head, or gives you an idea of what level he's on. Um, so there's levels to it. There's levels to it, and I think the biggest thing with artists is that LA has taught us that you have to fake it till you make it. That I hate that. I
Oh,
gotta
I hate
fake it till I make it. That
no
is some of the most trash ever. Because the
ever.
thing is this: you practice to make perfect. You don't fake it to make perfect. You practice to make perfect. So if
Right.
you practicing it, then you are doing it, and as you're doing it, you build up more reps, and then you become that what you are putting your time in to be. Whereas some people are living on credit cards to try to connect. They bought this car, but they live in apartments. And then they bought the car and they live in these apartments, but these apartments is in this area, and they living from check to check, and they buying all these clothes, but like they're not happy. They're
Yep.
they're upset, they're angry, trying to find they're really trying to find themselves in all of these different parties and rooms and situations, and then they look up and they still chasing a tail. um that's a lot of LA story. A lot of the homeless people in LA, the young homeless people came out here from somewhere else with a dream. Like, I'm gonna be an actor, an actress, and LA will chew you up, turn you inside out, bend you over, take full advantage of you, turn you right back
Literally.
inside out, turn you right back, turn you inside, right side in, and
Right.
then put you back out there, and you don't know which way to go. You don't know which way is up. You don't know which one is left,
And a
and
lot
you
of
dealing
people
with
it's almost like the lottery. Like you
yes,
can almost like equivocate it to the lottery. What
yeah,
the lottery they said if they put on television all the people that lost the lottery,
yeah,
they could flash us 1 second of one person for every second of a whole year,
yeah, yeah.
and showing you people that lost, but they don't do that. They show you that one person
Who
that
won?
won, and everybody chases that. And so it's the same with Hollywood. Hollywood will
Yep.
tell you about Jim Carrey sleeping in his car, and now he's a mega movie star. So now
Right.
you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna go sleep in my car if I have to. And next thing you know, you've been in your car for 28 years. Like,
Right.
it
Right.
ain't gonna
Still
happen.
chasing. Still chasing. But see, that's another thing too, is like is being honest with yourself and realizing, like for me, I was a professional drum. I am a professional drummer, I should say. I was more active earlier on, but that was also because during a time where parents were coming in, my parents didn't believe you can make money playing drums or being a musician, not like the way I was making money. They didn't think that was possible. And I mean, I wasn't making crazy money. There were guys making way more money. They didn't see that as a possibility. They didn't understand that you can make money touring around the world playing drums. That's a
Right,
possibility.
right.
So now you have parents that are my age and or in their 50s that are more open and more liberal with their children, so they give them the time to operate in their gifts. So you got 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds all because of YouTube and making the world shrink. You got these young kids that don't have nothing to do all day but play an instrument. And then here it is, I've been in the game 20 plus years. I'm still not at the top of the food chain. I'm still trying to work my way up. And I have kids who are 19, 20, just fresh out of high school, and they'll do the same gig that I would get paid $5,000 a week or $3,000 a week for, whatever it was. They'll do it for 1,500.
Easy.
I'll do it 1,500, and they killing. I can't even argue with it. They killing. They've had all the time in the world to work on their craft. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
I'm not
unfair, but
complaining.
it's fair.
Trust
It's
me.
like it's
Right.
unfair, but it's fair. Right.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying these are when at some point you got to realize, like, yo, I'm not as cute as I used to be. My titties is hanging down a lot lower. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it as a top model.
Right.
I gotta start thinking about,
You better start
target
auditioning for
ads.
that auntie role.
You're right. I gotta start getting the auntie role. So it's stuff like that you I'm not saying you kill your dream, you just your dream as you go. And that's one of the things I
Absolutely.
think for me, I'm a director of a program, it's Camp Amp. Director
Camp
of a
Am.
program. Yeah, Camp Amp. We'll be doing it again next year. 2 in California, 2 in Texas, DC, Louisiana, and Vegas and Atlanta.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and all we're doing is, and the reason why I bring this up, not to plug, is
No, please
we
plug.
we
Please plug. We
we
need to hear
take
this.
we take 7 to 8 year olds, 7 to 18 year olds, and we teach them art. We do acting, we do music, piano, dance. Art is like painting and drawing. We're going to be teaching them guitar. We're going to be teaching them bass, all of these different artistic things. No sports, no sports. And I'm an athlete, no sports. We focused on teaching them professionalism in an art that they choose. They get to choose their classes. We have professional teachers teaching each one of the classes. It lasts for a whole week. They come in, they get breakfast, they get lunch, and they get a snack on the way out. They have a performance on a Friday. We're all gearing up for this performance on a Friday, and then the teachers perform on the Saturday. But the reason why I bring that up is because we really spend time and really getting to know these children as to how we can help their parents with this gift. And the parents are more like, I'm trying to get this child out of my house in this summertime so they're able to do something. A lot of what happens is time and time again is we connect and we touch their children and their children touch us, and we teach them life skills while we're teaching them instrument skills or artistic skills or acting skills. It's all a part of, and I think that's my point is, as we look at things now, a lot of the way that our children have been raised now is we have a lot of kids raising kids. So they looking at their parents like, oh, that's the homie, not like that's my guide, my spiritual leader, or my, help me to get where I need to go, my advisor. That really doesn't exist as much as it did when I was a kid. So they have more time in the creative space to be more creative, but they have less time in the character building space, which is really damaging our children. You and I are both great active fathers in our children's lives and great men in our women's lives. I'm not a husband anymore, but at the same time, what I'm getting at is being a great husband and a great mate has a lot to do with being committed, being dedicated, being certain.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we don't always know the answers. We don't always know what to do, but I think what was beneficial for us is we always had someone to connect with. Yo, Cash, what you think about this? I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. My wife is talking about this, and well, man, I don't know. Like, how do you feel about it? Well, and we talk about it, and it gets to a point where it's not like you should do this. It's like, oh man, I didn't think about it like that. So you have these relationships that you're able to build and forge and connect. And I think that is what has been missing in the music industry as well. Because there's big gaps between your Nas's, Jay-Z's, and like that whole class was amazing. KRS-Ones. I know I'm bunching them together, but what I'm getting at is the level of.
I mean, it's only a 50-year-old category, so I mean, you kind of can lump them together if you want.
Yeah,
really good.
What I'm saying is the level of exemplary skill set and knowledge that came along with that, and even within the anger and the beef, there was a respect. Where now it's like these kids they trying to kill each other, like literally trying to kill each other.
Yeah, literally.
And that makes no sense at all. Like the Migos, one of the Migos guys, rest in peace. He's with his friends and family. Take off. He with his friends and family. He gets shot in front of his friends and family. That's wild. That's wild. Like that didn't happen back then. Like
just look at how many rappers have died, especially kid rappers. I mean, Takeoff. You got Triple X. He got gunned down coming out of a car dealership. Melly. We still don't know what's going on with Melly.
With that,
we're gonna leave that. But you know what I'm saying? Like two of his homies. I mean, the list goes on.
What's the other dude? I can't even think his name, but a bunch of them. Dolphin.
Young Dolph.
Dolph,
Yep.
young Dolph. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, these kids is they not even 40 yet.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
and not even
Barely
30, most of them.
exactly.
Not even
That's what I'm
30.
getting at.
Like they're
But
babies.
there's no, and even like with John Morant to kind of touch on even with sports, like John Morant and his father. John Morant's father ain't much older than he is. It's kind of a situation where it's dope. You got a father that's young, that's in his son's life, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
that's dope.
At the same time, when do you pull your son aside and like, nigga, let me tell you something. Let me
Let's
catch
talk
another
about
gun in your hand and I'm gonna bop you with myself. Like
it. Yeah, yeah.
at some point you gotta talk to your
You need
son
that.
like, yo, where's that level of respect? Like, and that just kind of tells you like it kind of gives you an understanding as to and an understanding as to these kids are raising kids to where, and I'm not talking his pops money because I don't know, but he wasn't making John Morant money.
Right.
So you got a
Right.
son, and you, no matter what my dad tells me, I could be a multi-billionaire. No matter if my dad come to me and tell me, hey, I need to talk to you, hey, cancel my such and such or whatever I got going on for today. My dad asked for me to talk to him. I got to make some time to talk to my dad. It's that
Right.
simple.
Right.
And I think that's the level that think that's what in our community, that's the biggest issue. And it has to do with, they didn't snatched all the fathers. The fathers are in jail or they not at home.
So Camp Amped almost sounds like it's part artistic teaching, but then there's a certain level of mentorship
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
also invested. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I love and hate it. I'm gonna tell you why. You already know why I love it. I'm gonna tell you why
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
At CSUN, at Dominguez, what's that? Dominguez Hills, at USC, and at Cal State LA.
Uh-huh.
I did well, and at various clubs in LA Hollywood area. I was doing a theme called the Hip Hop School. So I would go perform. I would bring on poets. I bring other artists. I bring singers. We'd have a theme for the show. Blah blah blah. It was like the precursor to this idea I had of a literal hip hop school. Like in my head, I saw
Yeah.
like breaking, right?
Yeah.
like a hip hop school, because
Yeah.
at the time that was the big conversation, is that they're taking music out of school. They're
Yeah.
taking arts out of school. When finances get cut, one of the first things that goes are art programs, music.
Yep. Yep.
So I was thinking, yo, what if there was a separate school
Mm-hmm.
that then took all of those things, but not only taught the music side, because it is the music business, but and I know more than anybody that far beyond it being the music business, it is the business of music.
Absolutely.
And most of the time, people don't realize that until they get to LA.
Oh, yeah.
People don't realize until they sit down in front of that person, and they thought that my talent is so great that soon as somebody with some hands in the industry,
Yeah.
so somebody that can move the needle, soon as they get a hold of it, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And they look at you and they look straight through your talent and
Yep.
see no business and close the door.
Yep.
And so I had people that were going to teach like radio and teach video production and like all these branding and fashion and yada yada, but never got it going. So when I hear you, I'm like,
but
yep,
look,
that's it.
look, we still got room, and we could talk about it too, because like we still got room, areas that we still developing, that we can sit down and talk about, because it's not done, like in any stretch, it's not done. So we're definitely looking to expand it. And another part of it is we have volunteers that are a part, and those volunteers, we're even implementing a program for them where they get some instruction, not just, oh, watch the kids and make sure you help the teacher throughout. Like, let's make sure that they are getting some instruction. You know, we got beautiful girls and handsome young men, and they don't know how to connect and talk to each other. You know, they think, you know, because their body, for the girls, they think because their body is going to open the doors for them, and it's like, yeah, that opened the doors, but it don't open the right doors for
Right.
you.
That's a fact. That's a
And
fact.
so, and that's where, as a father with a daughter, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and
Absolutely.
daughters, you really are trying to instill and be the man in their life that shows them love, like true love, and how to understand and to accept that love, and know that this is genuine love, and this is just, oh, I'm just trying to get in your pants type of love. And
Hmm.
that's all things that our this age group right now is not really able to be, is not really being taught, because it's just not, it's not there. Like, I deal with it in the colleges. I teach at pretty much most of the schools you named. I teach at those schools, and I'm
Hmm.
dealing with these students who, you're not all of them, but I'm dealing with these students who have, you know, depression issues, drug issues, identity issues. And I'm not there to crucify them, to judge them. I'm there to help them educate themselves with opportunities that are available to help you.
Hmm.
Opportunities and identifying people that are available to help you, because you're not alone. I mean, the fact that you know, you woke up today, or that you made it this far, like, I know, not to get, I mean, not to get off the topic, but just really quickly, if you think about the act of the insemination of an egg, like,
Okay. All the way there.
all
Yep.
of the soldiers that have to go through this area to get to this egg, and only one makes it through the egg, and maybe sometimes two, you know,
And the rest
it's,
die.
and everybody else dies. Like, you are the one that made it when everybody else died. When you just think about it from that standpoint,
Yeah.
every day that you wake up, there's a great day. Like, it's tough right now. You'll have tomorrow to make it better.
Yeah.
And the next day, but it's all about the choices that you make within those days. And so a lot of that is, we haven't been making the best choices, which is why we get into um artists not reading their contracts, and, you know, artists not being good stewards with their money. So, you know, it's just, it's
You know, I hear it in you, and I guess I know it about you already, but I'm pretty sure anybody listening could also hear the heart that you have, and you sound like someone who your heart is beyond a teacher. Like, it almost sounds like being a teacher is, at least in what we expect from a teacher nowadays, is almost limiting for someone um with your heart.
well,
Like,
it is. And I what I wind up doing is, a lot of students, like, they wind up, they are like, I never have any issue out of students. Matter of fact, all the kids that come in with a bad rap from other teachers are the ones that just needed a little extra time to say, hey, what's going on? What is everything okay at home? Oh, actually, you know what? And then, man, how did you know? I could feel it. I'm paying attention while I'm teaching. I'm looking at each one of my students to see how everything is landing, but also looking at them to see where they are. Like,
yeah,
are you in class or are you not in class? Where are you right now? And that
right,
is,
right.
you know, that's a biggest part. Like, teaching the material is, honestly, that's like 15% of the
Hmm.
job. And in all honesty, teaching the material and knowing the material is maybe about 15 to 20%. The other 80% is really getting to know your students, to help them remember, because it's nothing that they don't know. And right now, especially with cell phones and these computers and these iPads and everything that they got, and ask AI, there's nothing that they don't know. So it's like, I'm not here to teach you. I'm here to remind you of how this works.
Hmm.
And hopefully you can grasp what it is and how it is that you can use it so that it's beneficial for your life, because this information is just information unless you know how to use it, and when you know how to use it, then it becomes a tool for
Okay,
you for
so
you to use.
clearly you're a man of many hats. Throughout your life,
Yeah.
you're wearing several hats, even as we speak today, right?
Yeah.
Um, if I could, if I could sit you down with one of those super rich Asians, and they said, we're gonna pay you 10 million a year, but you have to choose one of these hats that you wear. Let's just say,
Mm.
physical limitations were not a thing, so you could play soccer just
Ah.
like you did, just like you did back in the day.
Oh
Music
man.
producer, teacher, mentor, drummer, career musician,
Man.
director. Like, what if you had to pick one hat and you can't do any of the other ones anymore? You got to just do this one thing. Which one would it be?
Mm. What comes to mind is consultations.
Hmm.
Like, I think I love being a musician. I love production, and there's things that I want to work on to be better. I think those are things I can work on my own time. I think where we are in this world right now and what I can contribute from here on out is is helping our people to get to where they need to be. Like, that's that is what will help to really build our people back to where they up to where they need to be. And then also, you know, selfishly, if I may, I would love to leave something behind that's not monetary,
Hmm.
that is legendary, and that how this person got there, or how that person got there, all of them are connected, or most of them are all connected to me, as to what I was able to and how I was able to influence or to help encourage or direct and things like that, their
Yeah.
lives into being. I think for me, that's priceless. I'm not trying to do no statues or nothing like that. I think that's all unimportant. I think knowledge and passing it on is priceless. So for me, being a consultant, um, to young artists and to young people, um, I think that's really where my heart is.
Hmm.
Um, that if I was to, even now, I've already got a plan in place where I'm running camp amp. I'm actually looking for a commercial building, and the commercial building is going to be big enough to have a soccer field in there, but not a full soccer field, but like indoor soccer field, little soccer things, about three
Yeah.
or four of them,
Yeah.
and because that's for the community and for the kids. You got Camp Amp taking care of the community and the kids, and then the other part of it would be a performance venue
Hmm.
where artists can come, independent artists or even major artists can come and have exclusive events that, everything is, you ain't got to pay to play type of thing. It's like, okay, I need to get this done. Because of the way the business model is set up, everything is taking care of itself. So, you know, um, I'm able to bring in artists from Nashville because I just like to bring them down to LA to give people a vibe of what's going on in this area of Nashville. From let's bring some people from New Orleans, some artists from New Orleans to come down and perform, and these are all exclusive events where people want to be in there, and they want this experience, and it's just real good music, real dope. And the stress of, oh my gosh, I got to pay $100 to get in, it's like, nah, let's let's keep it low. Let's keep it, affordable, and let's maximize the experience. That place will be packed every single weekend.
Hmm.
Um, but without that pressure of having to make the quota, because I already have the soccer field that's going to stay full. I already have, the school after school programs that will help to with government funding and aiding the students and things like that. So it's like it all takes care of itself. So I said all that to say, because in that space, those are all my wills, and I'm able to turn each one. I'm able to give back to the community in the soccer realm, and then also be able to consult and coach into not being a player, but into being a professional. With the kids, I'm in music and I'm teaching them how to be professional and how to learn and be the best at their craft. And then with all of it, with the performance venue, it's being able to bring artists in. And
Yeah.
because they're coming in and they're getting this opportunity and they're being paid, they gonna listen to what I gotta say. I don't gotta punk them. I don't got nothing. It's just, yo, how did you do this? Oh, well, sit down. Let me talk to you for a minute.
Hmm.
They turn into clients
Yeah.
because they see the work, they see the experience that they've had, they feel the experience that they've had. So I think for me, that's why I said like being a consultant. Um, and then I don't want to live in the United States.
Hmm.
Like I'm
Where do you want to live?
um
Or is it just
man,
anywhere except for the United States?
I can't say
Don't
anywhere
matter.
because
Just not here.
look, I can't say anywhere because I'll mess around and be in Antarctica or something like that. No, I'll tell you, like for me, it's somewhere in Africa, Spain, Portugal. I even go to the UK and stay.
So you want
Um,
to go to any place where soccer is prevalent. Got it.
yes,
Got it.
yes,
You
absolutely. But I think the other part of it too, for me, and I'll be honest with you, the thing for me is wherever my money can go far,
Mm,
and all I got to do is walk a few steps to get to the beach. I'm a water person. I don't got to get in the water. I'm not getting in the water, but I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to walk next to the water. I don't necessarily want to get in it, but I
right.
want to hear it. And I think for me, that is as an earth sign, that is a very important part. So I think living in the United States is we pay way too much and you have to work to live. It's not family oriented. I want to be in a family oriented place. I want my money to work for me.
Yeah.
So investment wise, I'll invest in the United States because capitalism is what's happening. Um, and then I'm able to live like, on $40,000 a year. I'm living like a king. Like, I mean, that ain't the number I want, but I'm just
No,
saying
I got you. I got you. That's all
at
you
forty
need.
thousand at forty thousand
You,
dollars, I'm eating fresh every day. My house is being cleaned, or
you
I'm
buy the
cleaning it.
water.
I got fresh water. I got land. And the thing is, whatever you build in a lot of these countries, not all of them, but a lot of countries, whatever you build is yours. The land is yours. You ain't paying for all these permits and licenses and all of that other stuff that's just ripping us off over and over and over and over. Car insurance and registration and all that stuff like that. How many times you got to register a car? Like, for what? Like, you bought the car
Oh
already.
my
How many
God, that
times
might
you
be
got
the
to?
best question of the night. How many times you
Man,
got to register a car?
every year? Like, really? Like, who's getting this money?
That is so good.
Like,
That is so
you
good.
know?
And that's so American when you think about it like that. How many
Ah,
times you got to register a car? And so, I mean, I guess
yeah,
that kind of uh segues us, even though I know we jumped around a little bit, but that segues us into this conversation of, indigenous peoples and
yeah,
Moors and not necessarily feeling like all the things that are developed in this country are really for us,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
made with us in mind or anything of that
Yep,
nature. And so,
yep,
your last name Bay. Now, is this
yeah,
now official now?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So Yeah, my last name is Bay. We have Bay and L.
Mm.
Um, and L is the lawmakers, and Bay is the educators. So
Mm.
I chose. You get to choose whether you want to be a Bay or an L. As an L, you have the responsibility. Um, not everybody takes it, but under the last name, it is assumed that you are a person of law, and in um, Bay, you are an educator. So for me, Bay fits. Even though I study entertainment law, and I'm writing contracts and negotiating on those behalfs and things like that, it's not a it's not something I'm looking to uphold as a job. It's more something I do as a consultant to be able to advise. Education is my thing. I want to be able to educate and get the right information, do the research and get the right information for our people, so that we can make strides. The thing I always tell people is, that love to, I'm black, I'm Black Lives Matter and all that other stuff like that. I just say, listen, when you can find black on a map, that's when Black Lives Matter. If you
Mm.
can't find black on the map, Black lives don't matter. Um,
So then white lives don't matter.
White lives don't matter either. And
And
the
blue lives
common
definitely don't matter then, because
they don't matter either.
yeah.
And the thing is, what is one the biggest misconception right now is color. Um, if you think about it, and this is God's honest truth, you can check this out yourself. There was an ad published not too long ago. China has a police force in the United States. Um, China has hired police force in the United States. They will be policing their own communities with Chinese police. Now, here's the thing, they don't necessarily have the authority that, and I use that authority with air quotes, they don't necessarily have the authority that
Mhm.
the police have. Here's the thing. And one of the things I think that is very important to really understand and overstand is that Chinese hang with Chinese, and they grow their communities. They invest in their communities. Their dollars rotate within their communities. Um, Even Mexicans invest in their communities. They have a whole situation within their communities that they are very communal. They'll live in the same house, stay in the house, whatever the case is. We are the one set of people that just constantly, like, as soon
Just
as
send it back out.
man, as soon as we get it, it's gone. Like,
Let's go.
I'm like this. At this point, before everybody realize what's really going on, if I not me, but if I'm looking at it from the standpoint of the United States, give these niggas their reparations now. Right now. Why?
We're gonna
Because
get it right back.
you're gonna get it right back. I bet money, everything I own, I bet within 5 to 7 years they'd have it back. What do you do? Raise the money on Cadillacs, raise the money on fried chicken, raise the money on grape soda. Now I'm being funny and facetious,
Not great.
but
So okay,
in
but hold
all
on. But
honesty,
is that black consumers' fault? And I ask that because if you gave a black person $1 million right now and told them to go do whatever, your call. You can invest, you can buy, you can rent, whatever you want to do with it. How many black options do they have to try to keep the dollar in their community?
well, see, here's the problem: is we got the crab in the barrel mentality because of Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch created a problem within our community. It also, on the plantation, we had a problem within the community where our big mamas of the plantation were somewhat of the protectors for the young up and coming stallions, if you will.
Yeah.
So because of that, it really caused an issue because they were always trying to um they were always trying to uh like send and sell off those prominent slaves, those young bucks that was doing their thing. They would try, oh no, and then you got Big Mama, they dumb. They just dumb. Oh, he just so dumb. Don't mind him, he dumb. Oh, don't pay no attention to him. He's just dumb. And so Big Mama's been talking to the man like that for so long, so long. He lazy, dumb and lazy, dumb and lazy, dumb and lazy. So then when he's acting like that, it's like, well, you said I was dumb and lazy. I say that because I was trying to not to get you killed or not get you sold or not get you, you know, get your testicles and all that stuff removed. That's where we was at during that time. So it's carried over in the speech in the same way that the black woman that's talked to us then is a lot of what we're dealing with now. And because of the behavior that we were exemplifying then is a lot of the behavior that we're exemplifying now. And then with it all, none of it has been fixed and all of the rules have changed and or all of the rules have been set against us, not changed, but set against us. And then on top of that, we don't even know the rules. So,
Right. So I
yes.
mean, so taking all that,
Yep.
if you can like funnel that down into the decision making process of the black consumer today, you know,
Yeah.
even if it was someone like you or myself, given a certain amount of money, if I need clothes, you know, there's only a few black owned stores that I know, and most of the stuff, truthfully, I don't even wear. It's either, you know, kente cloth or it's jerseys and
Look,
the baby t-shirts. Like, okay, I don't really rock that.
yeah.
So by the time I
Yeah.
need to go grocery shopping, by the time I need to go and purchase, home improvement items, by the time I need to go and purchase clothing, there's only so many options I have. Whereas I feel like the Chinese and Mexicans and other nationalities have done a better job in kind of building the commercial infrastructure of their
Yeah.
neighborhood. So I guess I'm
Yep.
saying,
Yep.
is the blame? Where's the blame?
It's a twofold blame. Number one, because of color coding, the neighborhoods that we lived in or that we were pushed into, we couldn't really afford much of in there anyway. And then what we could afford was already run down, or it they moved out because we moved in. Well, from a business standpoint, we didn't have the literacy to really take the time to set up and establish a business, because every time we did, we got things like Black Wall Street. We got Oklahoma was one of the most prominent, you know, black communities, if you will,
Oh yeah,
that we had.
ever
Not the only, but one of the most
one of the
prominent.
biggest
And
ones, yeah.
yeah, so because of the jealousy, because of every time we built it up, it got torn down. Every time it got up so high, it had to be beaten down. I mean, this is one thing I'll say, and I'm not trying to create no controversy. I'll just say like this. Michael Jackson got in trouble, whether you believe what he did or not my problem. Michael Jackson got in trouble when he owned 51% of all of Sony's catalog.
Yeah, including the Beatles.
Beatles and all of your favorite white artists, Beyonce and all of your favorite black artists. He owned it all. 51%. That's what Sony ATV was. They had to create another acronym to break up the publishing because he owned 50%, 51 to 52% of it. He owned more than they did, which is saying a lot.
A lot.
Then Let's get on Bill Cosby. Now, whatever he did, I ain't getting into it. That's none of my business. You want to come to do a table reading at 1 o'clock in the morning? That's none of my business. I'm not getting into that. What I will say is it's pretty interesting how when he get ready to buy NBC, he get in trouble.
Yeah.
And this is facts. Like, I'm not making this up. He got ready to buy NBC, put his money together to buy NBC, and all of a sudden he in jail. But then he out right after that.
Right.
So
no, I
whatever.
mean, you are speaking facts. I'm gonna pull it. I know people are all over with the news nowadays, and no one believes anything that they read, but they believe everything online for some reason. But this is from New York Times. Sony to pay Michael Jackson estate $750 million for a stake in the music catalog.
But here's the thing: the 750 that they paid, honestly, wasn't even what that was. They got a deal,
right? That's a drop in the bucket.
Yes, they got a deal. They got a hell of a deal.
Look at this.
I mean,
the fate of Sony ATV, which in addition to the Beatles catalog, has hits by acts like Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga. Has been one of the music world's most intriguing guessing games since October. It was 250 songs by the Beatles.
Yep.
Exactly. You're speaking facts. I believe you.
So
and these are things that you and I have known, but a lot of people don't know.
Right.
A lot of people don't know.
So that's why I say, like, when you get into that type of thing, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's very few of us that know what to do. That's the reason why not a lot of us get the opportunities to do what we need to do. There's plenty of us that I think that's where, for me, outside of the United States is important, because I mean, in all honesty, at that level, you're not safe. And any really, I mean, they don't even talk about Gaddafi. I'm not trying to get this too much, but even with Gaddafi was building a bank system that consisted of all of the African countries putting their gold together, or gold and rupees or whatever you want to call it, but they were putting their hard assets together, where if you look at a dollar, a $20 bill, $5 bill, it's a promissory note. It's no different than this, right? This napkin. It's no different than this napkin. It's honestly no different than this napkin.
It's very true.
We give it a value, but it has no backing. It has no backing. Where what Gaddafi was doing before he was killed was he was actually building a bank that would service the African countries so that they could do proper business with the world. Again, don't believe everything I'm saying. Check it out for yourself. You look at all of these different colonies within the country of Africa that are speaking French, and all of these different colonies that are Dutch, and all of these different colonies that are English. It should tell you something. When you say colony, that means it was owned by someone else. In Africa, it shouldn't be no French speaking unless somebody owned them that happen to be French. Same thing with Mexicans. It's always funny to me. Mexicans don't speak Mexican. They speak what? Spanish. So they was owned by the Spaniards, right?
Spanish conquistadors.
Exactly. Same thing with, if you look at South Africa, the only country, South America, the only country in South America that don't speak Spanish is what? Brazil. They speak Portuguese. Why? Because Portugal, that little small sliver over there in Spain, owned. I mean, they owned a lot more than that, but they owned and were slavers in Brazil. So anyway, a lot of that again is, I say, from the standpoint of reparations, we'll never get reparations, number one, because we consider ourselves black. Black does not have a country. Um, and another example of that is they maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago, or whatever, how many years it was ago, they had a whole bunch of those Asians getting beat up. And it wasn't even black people beating them up. It was Asian people beating up Asian people. However, they were different types of Asians. You can look
Yeah.
this up. There was a few black people that beat up a few Asians, but for the most part, we talking about Asians beating up on Asians, and then on top of that, it was some of the Asians that were um what is it? They were aggravating a lot of these situations, owning a hair shop that deal with all black people, and then you hit them, and then you following them around or whatever the case is, making them feel uncomfortable and things like that. Like, if you don't want to be in our neighborhood, don't be in our neighborhood.
Right.
But I said that to say they got a bill passed where it is a federal offense. You will be fined and you will do jail time. You get a felony for, and it's called an Asian hate crime. They have a whole thing, a whole federal law that is set up for them in based of 10 years of them getting beat up. Now, how many of us have been getting our ass whooped for how long?
Right. But do you
We
think
don't
that
have
has
no.
something to do with us being called black?
Absolutely. Here's why. Our country, part of what our declaration is give us your poor, give us your hungry, give us those who have been displaced. Here's the thing about that. Every person we bring in from a different country, we have an obligation and a commitment to that other country that we would treat your people good. We would treat your people fair. So China is not for the go for, as much as the Chinese that we got in the world, but let alone in the United States. China's not going for that. Let's flip it into China being the let's say China was what they consider black, and there was this whole slave situation. Reparations would have already been handled out, and they would have still been happening to this day. It would have been royalties, like it would have been a royalty check for your child just because they was born Asian in the United States. They still would be getting a royalty check right now. But and that's only because they have an obligation to that country. When we bombed Hiroshima, we still paying for that. We still giving them money for that. I think maybe they just finished, but we were still.
When you say obligation, for their people, are you talking about if their people become U.S. citizens? Are you talking about them as immigrants? Are you talking about them as visitors? Like, what do you mean?
Here's the thing: it don't matter, because if they're immigrants or if they come here legally, like if they come here illegally and somehow figured out legally to be here, whatever the case is. That's why I always, when you hear pink people talking about this is my country and all this, that, and the other, it's like, no, actually,
you're killing me with
actually, if you really want to talk about it, you're probably from Germany, or you're probably from Ireland, or you're probably from, and what's happened is they kicked y'all out of Ireland. Most of the police got kicked out of the Irish got kicked out of Ireland because they were all thugs. Some left, but this is a fact. Like, you can look this up. Most of the Ireland sent all of their all of the crimers and all of the felons, Donald Trump talking about we need to get rid of the Mexicans. They doing all this. Nah. Let's talk about them Irish people who came from Ireland who got kicked out. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But the ones that got kicked out and sent over here. That's a whole thing. And they're all Europeans. They're all Europeans. They are not Americans. They are Europeans. If we calling it what it is, they're Europeans. And the problem is that we haven't been able to identify. We do not identify with a country. And because of that, we have no government. That government is what protects us from any type of misuse. Or it's like right now, we talk a lot about Mexicans and talk mess about Mexicans and this, that, and the other. However, we are not going to, there's not going to be the level of backlash that there has been for killing blacks as there will be if they started killing Mexicans. Like, the police don't kill Mexicans like they kill blacks. They kill blacks because who you gonna tell? And then we all crab in the barrel mentalities. You know, when we had the Black Panthers or we had the Nation of Islam as a brute force, that got all softened down, broken down, and now we have no response for when the police go in and kill Breonna Taylor while she sleep and not even at the right house, but yet they still ain't in jail. We we still dealing with, the Emmett Till situation of a woman who, and many others, of a woman who said somebody did something and never did nothing. That person paid with their life, or
And
or
she died peacefully of
and
old
she
age.
she died peacefully of old age.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So that's
But
where.
so I understand the crux of the situation. I guess
Mhm,
my question is, we unfortunately live as Black people in somewhat of a gray area that
mhm,
other people don't exist in. So
mhm,
we are in that gray area of not from Africa, not from America,
mhm.
not quite African, not quite American. And
Well, we
so
are American.
I, yeah, but we are American,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
like you said, but we don't have a government. If we were just American, no, but then that would be our government. That would be our answer to.
Well, here's the thing, and this is where the saying comes, and it's so true. You want to keep something from niggas, put it in a book. Um, we don't spend enough time reading. Like, we don't spend enough time learning the laws. Like, just in the U.S. Constitution, there is the law of black being 3/5 of a human. That still exists to this day. That has not been taken out. It's not been
And
ratified.
that was in which document?
The the the
In the
the U.S.
Declaration
Constitution.
on the
Yeah,
Constitution.
the U.S. Constitutions, blacks are still considered 3/5 of a human. There's no amendment to that. Amendments are a fix of something. I fix something. I'm amending something I said, meaning I'm fixing something or adding to or adjusting. In
Right.
the US Constitution, we are still considered as blacks 3/5 of a human. That has not been amended. Blacks cannot vote. That has not been amended. We have to vote. They have to vote every 20 years or every 5 years or whatever it was. I think it's 20 years now to be able for us to vote. And it's like, we still doing that? Like,
I'm trying to pull it up because this is what I did when I had my one of my guys, South Central
mhm,
conservative. He's a Black Republican, and so
yep,
he was saying that that the president can declassify a document whenever he wants. And I was like, all
yep,
right, well, let's pull it up. And so we pulled it up, and that wasn't true, but
right.
it's a talking point. And once people hear it,
Mhm,
and someone says it with confidence,
yep,
everybody's like, yeah, that's right. President can do that. And it's like, no, the law actually shows that to classify and declassify, there's a process. There's a full
yep,
process. There's another committee that
yep,
sees it. There's an oversight. It ain't just a hey, declassify, hey,
yep.
classified. It ain't like that.
So it's in Article 1, Section 2 of the US Constitution.
Okay,
Um,
article. Thank you.
uh-huh. And
Article
it's the
one, section.
3/5. Yeah. Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution of the United States declares that any person who was not free would be counted as 3/5 of a free individual for the purposes of determining congressional representation.
But that's
Now,
for someone who was not free.
not free.
So in essence, that's talking about someone enslaved.
Slaves. Yep.
So then we are considered full humans based on that, right?
No, we're not. Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Okay, so here it is. It was the slave.
Hold on.
So it's
Where are you reading? Because I want to pull it up.
I pulled up.
Senate.gov. This always usually this is good. So this is the U.S. Constitution Senate publications, the PDF.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get it to come up, I'll share it on the screen so that we can have a look. See, Article 1, Section 2. You said this is dope. I love doing this. Okay. I don't know how well you can see that or not. Let me try to zoom in. I know. Well, you can't see this at all because there's a feather. There happens to be a feather across this Xerox copy of the original Constitution. All right. So, Constitution of the United States of America, written in 1787, ratified in 1788, and in operation since 1789. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. All right, Article 1. It's on page 1. If anybody's listening to the audio version of this podcast, we typed in the U.S. Constitution and I went to Senate.gov. They have a PDF of the U.S. Constitution, and that's what we are reading if anybody wants to verify. All right, Article 1, Section 2. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states. And the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the Senate legislature. So that's the whole electoral college. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state in which he shall be chosen. Okay. I don't know if this is part of it. Yeah, it looks like I'll just read it because I don't want anybody to say I'm skipping anything. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative. And until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. Okay, so I can keep going, but we did come across something that said 3/5, but that did not say what you were saying about 3/5 of a human.
Well,
That,
essentially,
maybe I'm not in the right spot yet, but specifically that was just saying, talking about
how they're
the
counted.
yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, what it is, the 3/5 compromise is, and they did. So correction is they did ratify it. However, what they've done is, so what they did is it was 3/5, and 3/5 were considered property. Like that was a property. So the thing is, the North outnumbered the Southern votes. In order for the Southern plantation owners to get the number of representative votes, the number of votes they needed for the representatives, they was like, yo, we got more slaves than they have in the North. So let's count our slaves. That's where the 3/5 compromise comes in, because it's like, oh, well, let's count every slave as 3/5 of a man, not human, but a man. So
Mhm.
every slave was counted and 3/5. Now, what they did is clause 3, they did amend it with clause 3 in section 2 in the 14th Amendment and suspended the clause. um However, it still exists, and this is how I would tell you it still exists. The common slavery right now is what?
The music industry.
No, yeah, but what would you consider the new, I mean, the common slavery now? Prison system.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Of
And then
course,
who and
of
then
course.
who's in the prisons?
Right,
So
right.
those people cannot vote, and their rights have been taken from them. They're considered, even though they've paid their debt whatever time that they were supposed to do, they're still considered felons. So they're not able to vote, which minimizes the amount of votes that that particular state can have, which typically in most cases affects us more than it affects them. So
That I do get that. It's a I mean, it's definitely a little different than what you were saying, but I do get the
yeah,
effects. It does sound more like
yeah,
the prison industrial complex, and the issues that we know that are even connected to hip hop music,
right,
and
right, right.
and so it's funny that you said what's the new slavery. I said the music
It is,
artists,
it
but
is.
in reality, if people don't know, there's a connection between the prison industry and the music industry. If you don't know,
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
do a show on it. We'll do a
yeah.
whole episode just on that. I do want to read this because it says kind of speak to what you were saying. It says the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, and the 14th Amendment
Hmm.
provided that representation would be determined according to the whole number of persons in each state, not
Hmm.
by the 3/5 of the slaves.
Right.
Since American Indians are now taxed, they are counted for purposes of apportionment.
Hmm.
So, okay, but so we can say that they they did at least ratify it. We are not necessarily on paper in the Constitution considered 3/5 of a human. However, as masterminds, especially criminal
Yeah, yeah,
masterminds, do,
yeah,
they will find another way.
yeah,
It's almost like
yeah,
when it's almost like you were talking about with Jim Crow. It's like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
after slavery, you had this movement of Jim Crow into the West where they're
yeah.
they're trying to figure out how do we do that here without doing it?
Right,
Like how do you kind of
right.
get them to still act right? And so
Yep.
then they come up with all these other things, and then you have these, I forgot what they called it, but you have that time where, me walking across the street because I see a
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah,
white person coming
yeah,
was considered good manners.
yeah,
Me saying
yeah,
hello, sir, and you ain't got to
yeah,
say nothing to me. That meant I was proper. It's like I'm not a slave anymore, but you've
right,
created this construct that now for me to feel like I can go get a job, I
yeah,
cannot be arrested, I can be
yeah,
productive in this society um without being harassed, killed,
yeah,
imprisoned. and be able to support my family, I have to kind of walk this line because I got a baby on the way. I got to walk this line because I got a wife I got to take care of. So I'll just howdy, sir. Good morning, sir. And still be somewhat mentally enslaved and can't control it. So I do understand it from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely an important correction to be made. This is one of very few countries where you feel when you get pulled over as a black man or as a melanated man, you definitely feel the pressure of, man, am I gonna make it home tonight? Or, oh my gosh, what's getting ready to happen? Let me turn on my camera. Right. In other countries, you don't feel like that. Like, really don't. Like I've been there, and that's not the case. So I definitely agree. Like, to an extent, it's tough because like we deal with that, but then also we deal with the constant the mental oppression of looking over your shoulder, even as a famous person, you really don't know until and
right.
So
there's a lot in the underbelly of life as an American, and so and that's kind of what I wanted to kind of delve more into, because I struggle with that. Like, do I just stay living in America? You kind of feel like, do I abandon all the people who may not completely know yet?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and not, like you're saying, not be a leader, not be an educator for the next group of people to pass it forward? Or do I do what's best for me and my family? Am I frozen on your screen?
Yeah, you frozen on my screen.
Okay. I'm frozen on mine too. You're not, but I am, which is weird.
You just holding the apple.
Right. But one thing I do want to say real quick before I want to kind of dig back into, we won't go deep into it because I know we're running out of time, but there was one other thing I wanted to kind of get some baseline for your last name, Bay.
Yeah.
But just for fun, I thought it may be interesting while we're harping on the terrible, all the terribles of this country that we live in. Let's look at some of the 10 craziest laws of what is going on with my system over here. We shouldn't be moving this slow. We should be operating at full speed all time. Like I pay for that. You know what I'm saying? I want what I paid for.
Right.
We are going to look at, I'll just read it as it comes up on the screen, at some of the 10 craziest North Korean laws that are real laws in action right now. This was put out in 2020, but they still exist in 2023. Number one, you must have a state-sanctioned haircut.
Yeah.
This is a fact.
No
this
dreads.
Is a fact. There are only 28 government-approved hairstyles allowed in North Korea.
Wow.
Okay? Okay? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Now you wonder why everybody might kind of have a similar look.
Yep.
You think everybody looks like Bruce Lee? Well, that's one of the hairstyles. One of the hairstyles is the Bruce Lee. One of the hairstyles is the Brandon Lee.
Right.
And my system is taking forever, so maybe I won't go through all of them. But if you have triplets, they belong to the state.
Dang.
The government of North Korea views triplets with extra levels of protection. If you happen to give birth to triplets, the state will take them away from you and raise them for 4 years. In return, you'll be given gifts from the government as compensation, including a silver knife for boys, a ring for girls. Wow. So you have 3 girls, you get 3 knives. That's it.
Cut that.
That's what your babies are worth.
Yeah.
In North Korea if they all come at the same time.
That's crazy.
All right, I'm gonna leave it alone. I ain't gonna go through all of them. I just thought that was pretty funny. Kim Jong Unahana. All right. So you brought up the L is law and Bay are the educators.
Yeah.
But just for the person that's new to this, and I definitely want to have you back on. I know I had you talk a lot tonight. I know I probably pulled you into some conversations that you may not normally have, and I appreciate you for indulging us with the content. And so I do want to have deeper conversations like we talked about in the past regarding the Moorish people and who we are as Moors. So let's start and give a baseline of what that means, because when someone hears Bay is educator, we had to choose. They don't know what you're saying. Who is we? Who did you choose with? Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Are you talking to the congressman? You talking to the DMV? Who's this we? Who are you talking to? Where do you go? Why did you have to do it?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, all those kinds of things. So I know it's for anybody listening that doesn't understand, dealing with this matter is very complex because it has been hidden in plain sight from us.
Yes.
And so it immediately attacks your general knowledge base while trying to give you a new understanding of a very old reality.
Yeah.
And that is a hard thing to wrestle with. So bear with us if this is your first time hearing it. If you're a little confused, just look forward to other episodes when we bring Seven back for you guys to get taught a little more. He's the educator. Seven Bay. He's the educator.
So the thing is with Bay, and I just sent you a link. And I'll find all the rest of them to send you. But essentially what it comes down to, we have L, we have Bay, we have Day. So it's L-E-L, Bay, B-E-Y. If you notice, Beyonce goes with Bay. The Beehive, when she calls it Beehive, she spells it B-E-Y. So she's very much aware of this as well. You have Day, which is D-E-Y, you have Al, which is A-L, and you have Ali. So in addition to number one, so here's the number one thing first. We already been here. If you think about it from the standpoint of, if we were brought here on slave ships, how are this?
We as black people.
If we as black people are brought here on slave ships, how come where are all the slave ships at? Like, where are all these slave ships at? Like, either that or we was and we had to be having sex like rabbits, like multiplying every single day to be where we are now. But that's not the case. The truth is we were already here. When you look at the earlier writings of all of the people who came to visit, such as your liars like Christopher Columbus and some of the other ones that came here, they all talk about the red-skinned, brown-skinned Indians, as they call them. All of these Indians, and I don't mean to be offensive, but I mean to tell the truth. All of these people that are calling themselves Indians, maybe some of them are of Indian descent. They are. But a lot of these aren't at all. It's a very true statement. There was a $5 Indian situation that took place where a lot of these white people were able to pay $5, and they got their name written on a list that classified them as an Indian. So they got a plot of land, and for whatever reason during that time, that's what took place. That's what happened. But they got a free piece of land. The truth is,
I've heard that before. I just never heard that they said that they were Indians to get it. I remember
it was a list.
Yeah, that I didn't know.
So if they wrote their name on that list, they were considered Indian. That's why they call them the $5 Indian, because they paid $5, which was a lot of money during that time. They paid $5, and they were considered Indian. They get a piece of land, and they were protected and preserved under the Indian law. So we were no longer able to hunt the Indians and all that other stuff that was going on, cowboys and Indians and all that stupid craziness that they talk about. And the thing about it is, the L's were Cherokees, the Bays are Choctaws, the Days were Seminoles, the Owls were Creek, and the Alis were Chickasaw. Um, and what El, Bay, Day, Al, and Ali mean is the title El means God or power, executive, lawmaker, creator. Bay means ruler, landlord, enforcer, officer. Day means knowledgeable. Al is the same as El, but Al is the female version of El. And then Ali is most means exalted and most high or most high. So you didn't really get Ali. Ali was something that was bestowed upon you. Ali was not something that you just got to pick. So like Al, Day, and Ali are reserved for the functioning of the nation by decrees and are not self-assigned. The only self-assigned that you can choose is either El or Bay. And the reason why is because again, El were lawmakers. They were able to liken to executives, and then what we have with the Bays, they were obeys, so they enforced the law. They were educators of the law they were educators in enforcing the law. So again, it just really it's one of those things like the great honorable the great honorable why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Elijah
No,
Muhammad,
not Elijah Muhammad. His name is
Noble Jew
Noble
Ali.
Jew Ali. God, I'm drawing a blank. Sorry. The Noble Jew Ali was one who found all of it, not created it, but found all of it. I mean, there's the whole treaty of 14 what year was that? 14 I'll get the treaty for you, but there was a treaty that the treaty is what basically the peace treaty is what it's called. Basically, it was given to it was between Morocco, the empire, the kingdom of Morocco, and the United States. And I'm pulling it up right now. The peace treaty, and basically what happened was that the United States was looking to be was really looking to be recognized as a country, but they couldn't do it because they didn't have any representation. So the deal was is if America allowed the Moors who were already from Morocco, who were already in the U.S. or in the Americas, if they allowed them to have the right to travel freely, if they were not to be obstructed of any business or any taxes and all of that stuff like that, it's a whole lot of things that they just were not supposed to do. And that's what they agreed to. That was the agreement. Because of that agreement, it was written up, and then of course, it never it wasn't upheld. So because of the
Of
lack
course
of
it wasn't.
knowledge,
Of course it
right?
wasn't.
So the lack of knowledge, and not really knowing what to do. Sorry, I'm still pulling this up. The lack of knowledge for us has now limited our ability. So it's like, the right to travel is whether you drive in, whether you get in a car and travel, or you get on a plane to travel. There's no restriction to that. You have a form of identification, fine, but you don't need a driver's license to travel. And that's the problem that we have. And and because we don't have it, we found ourselves in, yeah, sorry, so I found it. It's the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1786. um Morocco formally recognized the United States by signing a treaty of peace and friendship in 1786, a document that remains the longest unbroken relationship in US history, which means that if you follow what the peace treaty says and the rights of the peace treaty, then us identifying as black is what violates and basically tears that apart. So if you identify as a Moroccan or as a Moor, which is what we are, you don't
When
have
you
to
say
deal with.
we, are you talking about all black people?
I'm talking about all people of not just black people, but all people of color. This is America. Honestly, here's the thing people don't realize: America is Canada, all the way down to um, the very end of Mexico to Panama. That's all of America. We are supposed to be able to travel all the way up from Canada, all the way up to Canada, all the way down to we get to Panama. And then South America is a different country. So North America is we're supposed to have the right to travel anywhere within North America with our identification or our paperwork or what have you. We are supposed to be able to travel anywhere within the Americas, even in South America
And
and
you're
everything.
saying that's in the treaty.
That's in the treaty.
That's in this treaty. Okay, and I'm gonna throw out some very obvious and novice questions.
Mhm.
So you get a license not just to say you're allowed, but also to say you're able, right? Identification doesn't say I'm I know what I'm doing
Right.
driving a car. It doesn't say that I've shown any level of proficiency in being able to operate um, this motor vehicle that weighs 3,000 to 6,000 pounds
Mhm.
and could kill someone.
Right.
So then the question is, what is the fight against having a license when a license pretty much creates a level of safety and security for you driving down the street with your children? Everybody else that's driving any of these big vehicles, they've shown proficiency of their knowledge of safety to operate this vehicle. If everybody just had IDs and anybody could just drive, you wouldn't know if someone's gonna run the light, somebody's feeling suicidal, somebody crazy, they drinking and like it would be the wild wild west in the middle of the road.
Well, see, here's the thing. I understand I get where you're coming from. The issue is this is we are all if we all practiced if we all practiced if we all practiced if we all practiced common sense, which ain't so common, we wouldn't need police.
True.
We wouldn't need constitution. We wouldn't need we don't need none of it. But because of because we have these issues where trustworthiness and honesty and things that should be recognized as normal don't exist, we have to put things in place. Now, the rules that go along with traveling are to help us ensure safety. The thing about driving is a constant tax and a constant bill. What does that mean? When you driving, that means you are you are transporting commerce. That's what driving is. Transporting commerce. So I'm driving to transport commerce, which means I need to have insurance, which is why you got cops and robbers. So back in the days, we used to talk about cops and robbers, and all that other stuff like that. They robbed the stagecoach. They had insurance on the stagecoach just in case it got robbed.
This treaty is
It,
long.
it's the same thing in right. It's the same thing to this date. If you get pulled over by a police officer, the first thing they say to you is license and registration. Doesn't really matter why they pulled you over. They don't even ask you that anymore. They just say license and registration. Soon as you pull out your license, you're saying, I agree. I'm in agreement with this. So license and registration, here's my license, here's my registration. I'm saying I agree to, we are in agreement as to how this works. And that's where the issue comes into play. So you don't need a driver's license to travel. It's just like when you get on your bike, you don't need a bike license to go from your house to your uncle's house, your auntie house, whatever. You don't need a bike license for that. I get that a car is dangerous and you should have some type of training in order to operate that. Absolutely. I agree. Same thing with guns. I think you should have some type of training, in order to operate a gun. I think that's vitally important because you don't want to cause any harm or any accidents and stuff like that. It's the same thing with the cars. Here's where it gets into racketeering. It's all for profit. You got to get a license. So you pay for that license every birthday or every 5 years, whatever it is. Then you got to pay for registration. You registered the car. Okay, cool. Why am I paying another registration? Because you got to pay registration on the car for the life of the car. How does that work? Like, who's getting the money for this registration? Now I got to have insurance. What do you need insurance for? To ensure that if you're driving with something that is insured. But I'm traveling. So how do you take care of it? And the biggest question, well, if I don't need insurance, how do I take care of if somebody hit me or if I hit somebody? That goes back to, which is the biggest issue, goes back to treating people the way you want to be treated. So, and taking care of business the right way. So if I hit your car, I need to pay to get it fixed. I know a mechanic. Let's go to the mechanic. We'll get a fair price and we'll get the car fixed. You can even take out a bond and pay for a bond in order to cover any expenses that are incurred through an accident. Car insurance is a racket. You don't need car insurance. You're insuring what? Like, they broke into my truck a few weeks ago. They broke into my truck a few weeks ago, stole some stuff from me. And then I go to my insurance company because I have great insurance. And then I also have homeowners insurance. And I lost about $7,800 worth of equipment for laptop and some stuff, some other stuff, music equipment that I had. And it's just in a backpack. They only gave me $5,000 back. And I get depreciation and everything like that. I get it. At the same time, why am I paying for insurance to insure something that you're not going to cover?
But then the argument is, so I get it. I'm all for any conversation that gets me out of paying for insurance or register the vehicle 100 times.
Right.
I'm with it. What I'm trying to find is where the solution doesn't create another void. So it's like you're saying they broke into the truck, they got $7,800 worth of stuff, you got back $5,000. Well, clearly, even when we could say treat people how you want to be treated, we know that's not the world. The world is a very evil place. Yep. And so if you didn't have insurance, you get $0 back.
Yeah.
And so it's like I think it's those kind of what if measures that makes people go, okay, but yeah, what if somebody hits me? What if I'm not even in the car? My car's parked outside. Somebody's training they little nephew in a 67 pickup. He's smashing the side of my car, completely totals it, drives off. I never even saw him. If I have no insurance because I'm just traveling, I'm just out here. Like, I just have no vehicle, can't get to work the next day. Ain't nobody give me no money. I got to figure it out.
Right. And I understand that, but that's also where you don't have to pay insurance. You pay a bond. So you you put a certain amount of money that you feel that you're gonna need for incidentals or something along those lines. So maybe you put together, you buy a car that's worth $25,000. Maybe you get an insurance bond that's worth $20,000. You cash it out in the case that something happens with your car or something along those lines. In the case where somebody's breaking into my car and they take my stuff and I don't get anything at all, here's the thing. If I'm paying insurance, I'm paying, not to get too personal with everybody's business, but you spending probably anywhere between, on the low end, I would say maybe $1,500 every 6 months. And then an additional $1,500 for another 6 months. So you spend about $3,000 a year on insurance. Now, how many times do you wind up using it? Hopefully none, until you need it. I've been on my insurance since 2016 and I only used it twice. So let's just go with the easy for the sake of numbers. Let's just say 2016 or 2023. So let's just say 2003 or 2013. Let's say 2013, so we can keep the math right. So from 13 to 23, that's 10 years. 10 years I've been paying, let's just say I've been paying $3,000 for 10 years. Now let's do the math on $3,000 for 10 years, right? That's 10 years. Oh, so that's $30,000, right?
Yeah.
$30,000. I just got back 5. Now, let's just say for the other one, I got in an accident or whatever, I got back another 5. So that's $10,000 for $30,000 worth of insurance that I've paid for the coverage of more, but $30,000 that I've personally spent out of my pocket for insurance, and I'm only able to get back $10,000 where it should have been somewhere along the lines where I should have maybe got $15,000. Let's just say hypothetically, I was supposed to get $15,000. I only got $10,000 back out of the whole deal. I've spent $30,000 in 10 years. $30,000 in 10 years, and I'm only getting. I mean, of course, it's more than that, but I'm only getting back
a third. And that's what I'm saying. I'm with any conversation that challenges it. I think that the issue that we all kind of get, lost in the cobwebs with is your specific situation. You saw a third come back to you. Other situations may see none come back to them. Somebody else, right? And they're paying for it, but somebody else might get more. Somebody else might have just got it 3 months ago, and then the car got stolen or the car got totaled and wasn't their fault. And then next thing you know, they got a check for $28,000. It's like, damn, I only paid for the past 6 months.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of space to play, within those numbers, which is how they get us, because it's the just in case thing. You never know thing. Maybe this will happen thing.
Yep.
But the question is, like we were saying with a bond, how many people, number one, if the bond isn't required, right? If it's not required, it can't be, because if it's required, you're right back to insurance. You're basically just calling it something else. So if it's not required, people are terrible. And I'm gonna take that one off. It's not required. The median household income is mad low. Minimum wage is way low compared to what inflation is. The unemployment rate, even though it's getting better, is still a problem. We won't even go to the other factors like we talked about, dads being outside of the home and how that affects kids being on the streets and not having art and other activities to kind of blah, blah, blah. So you got all of these factors mushed in together.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with millions and millions of cars driving on the streets? Nobody has a license. Or let's say half of them don't have a license. They just have IDs. Third of them don't have insurance. They didn't get a bond either. How do you mitigate? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you deal with all of that to where it makes people safe? It makes the grandmother safe. It makes the first time driver safe. And you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
how do you
I'll put it
deal
to you
with it?
like this. I feel what you're saying, but I think the idea of being safe is a false pretense. It's like
Mm.
we're we're um we're we're relying on the safety of an idea that someone's going to rescue us if we have an accident. I mean, and in some cases, yeah, some cases it really comes in handy, like definitely comes in handy. In most cases, we're paying far too much for car insurance, and
Absolutely.
and and it's not worth it, period. It's
Yeah.
not worth
Yeah.
it because we're investing in something that we never ever, hopefully we never ever have to use.
Right.
It's like if I
Right.
told you pay me, it's like if I told you pay me $200 a month, and you know I'll come over and check your computer every once in a while to make sure you ain't get no viruses. Well, if you got a Mac, you probably ain't gonna get no virus at all. So you just basically giving me $200 every
Yeah.
single month, and then I just hope that you never get a PC and that you stick to the Mac. And then I'll send you a little, hey man, how you doing? How's your computer going? Oh yeah, everything's good. Great, 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 great. I'll check with you in a few more months. Make sure you send my $200. Do you think like it's like the idea of, man, you know what? I'm gonna cook you some dinner. Give me some money for groceries, and then I'll come by there and cook dinner whenever you hungry. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm hungry today, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it over there today. You don't really don't need me. I mean, your wife is there. She got it. Like, it's all
Yeah.
good. Send me some more money for you. Like, bro, how many times I'm gonna send you money? You asked me to, you said you was gonna cook. If
Right.
I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Where's the
No,
what
I
I'm
get it. You're
saying
saying
is
it's basically just like a waste of money. You're
it
spending
is,
money on a promise that may never come true, which I get. And
yeah.
I know we derailed and got deep into insurance because I think we all look at insurance for what it is, but I
Yeah.
see how it equates back to the idea of the privileges that should be allowed to us through the peace and friendship treaty, and how it's kind of turned into, like you said, just almost like racketeering. Like, you're just kind of
It is.
siphoning me for money. And what makes it even worse is that not only may I not get all my money back, the worst part about it is if I do happen to be stuck in an unfortunate situation where I find myself in an accident,
Yep.
you might raise the rate. Like, you're going to penalize me
Yep.
for having a bad moment in my life where somebody,
Yep.
whatever happened,
Yep.
whether I was at fault or not,
Yeah.
it still could go either way.
Look, I had to pay, and I'll leave it alone. I had to pay my deductible for my car getting broken into, and it was on camera, bruh. On camera with a police record. I mean, a police,
Wow.
like, I had to pay my deductible to fix my car that somebody else broke.
That's not it. That's not it. America,
That's
that's
why.
not it. Now, I don't know if they do something different in other countries because I've never looked at the automobile insurance
Oh, it's totally different. It's totally
practice.
different. Oh, it's
So yeah,
totally different.
we got to get into that, bro. I'm not gonna keep you any longer. I had you on
Yeah.
here over 2 hours. I appreciate your time greatly. We have a lot more to talk about. Hopefully,
Man, let's
come
go.
back to the show. We got music to delve into. We got
Yeah.
camp amp to delve into. We didn't even really get into all of the ins and outs of you as a teacher.
Yeah.
I know we got more Moors conversation because our people need to have the knowledge, myself included. I need the knowledge. I've done more research since we talked, so I have more of an understanding, but I still have a long ways to go in the journey. So, but I appreciate you, my guy. I appreciate you. Your pod is good.
And all the time.
And all the time, pod is good.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. This has been episode 16 with my
167.
guy.
My
guy, 7 Bay. That's right. 1-6 = 7. Perfect timing. It all lines up.
Timing.
It all lines up. It's numerology.
That's
all
right.
Y'all.
That's
We'll
a whole nother one.
That's a whole nother one.
That's a whole nother one.
All right, G. I'll holler at you later, my friend.
All right, my man. Appreciate you. Thanks for the call.
Peace out, bro.